Profit. It's the headline number, right? The one everyone cheers for. But what if I told you a company could report millions in profit and still be on the verge of going broke? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the metric that tells the real story, the actual spendable cash a company has left in the bank.
You know, this is the exact question that trips up so many investors. I mean, it seems like a total paradox, doesn't it? If a company is profitable, it should be flush with cash. But the reality is often very, very different, and understanding why, well, that's the secret sauce to becoming a much smarter investor. So let me tell you about this investor. Let's call him Arav. He's looking at two companies, and on paper, they look like twins. Both have positive profits, solid earnings, everything looks fantastic. But then he notices something kind of weird. One company is just gushing cash, while the other, barely a trickle. He was left scratching his head, wondering, how is this even possible?
And this thought right here, it's so relatable. It just makes perfect sense, doesn't it? If you're earning money, you should have money. But here's the thing, that perfectly logical assumption is probably the single biggest trap in investing. And today, we're going to dismantle it.
The reason that assumption is so wrong comes down to one simple, crucial truth. Profit isn't cash. They are not the same thing. And to really get our heads around this, we're going to use a simple, but honestly game-changing analogy that will completely shift how you see a company's real financial health.
Okay, so picture this. Think of a company as just a big, simple water tank. All the money it makes from sales, its revenue, that's like a huge pipe just pouring water into the tank. Simple enough, right? That's our starting point.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Profit is different. Profit is like you walk up to the tank, you do some math in your head about your costs, and then you write down what you think the water level is on a clipboard. See the difference? It's the reported level. It's an accounting number. It's important for sure, but it's not the actual water.
And this is the big reveal. Free cash flow. That's the actual water left in the tank, after you've paid for everything to keep the whole system running, to maintain the pump, fix the pipes, all that stuff. It's the real, tangible, spendable water you can actually scoop up and use.
So, if you remember just one thing from this, make it this right here. Free cash flow is the cash left over after keeping the machine alive. You can think of it like this. Profit is the story a company tells. Free cash flow is the cash it has in its pocket after all the bills are paid. That's the truth.
Okay, that water tank analogy is pretty useful, isn't it? So now that we've got the concept down, let's peek under the hood and see how it's actually calculated. And don't worry, we're not going to get lost in some complicated spreadsheet. We'll keep it simple and just focus on what the numbers are really telling us.
Here's the textbook definition, but let's just zero in on those key words, cash left after. That's the magic. This isn't just money coming in, it's the true surplus. It's the cash that management has total freedom to decide what to do after all the essential bills for running and maintaining the business have been paid.
And the formula? It's actually beautifully straightforward. You start with operating cash flow. That's just the cash generated from the company's main business. Then you subtract capital expenditures, or CapEx, which is the money spent on all the big physical stuff, like factories and equipment, just to keep the business going. What's left over? That's your free cash flow.
So why are we so obsessed with this leftover cash? Because a company with strong free cash flow has choices. It has power. It can pay down debt, making it safer. It can pay you, the shareholder, a dividend. It can buy back its own stock, making your shares more valuable. Or it can reinvest in cool new projects to grow even faster. It's the ultimate sign of financial strength.
Okay, theory is great, but let's see this in the real world. We're going to go back to Arav's dilemma and look at those two companies because they perfectly illustrate the power of looking beyond that shiny profit number.
So here they are, BrightSurf Technologies and MegaBuild Infra. And look at that net profit line. It's a dead tie, 120 crore rupees each. Now, if you stopped your analysis right here, you'd probably just shrug and say they're equally healthy. But they're not even close.
Now we're going to apply our simple formula. Look at that top line, operating cash flow. They're both pretty similar. But then look at the second line, capital expenditure. This is where the whole story changes. BrightSurf is a tech company, so it's asset light. It only spends 30 crore. MegaBuild, on the other hand, has massive infrastructure costs. It has to spend a huge 140 crore just to maintain its business. And that leads to a massive difference in the final result.
And this chart says it all, doesn't it? It's like a knockout punch. Despite reporting the exact same profit, BrightSurf is left with 6 times more real cash than MegaBuild.
This is the hidden story that free cash flow reveals. One company is a cash-generating machine, the other is basically spending most of its cash just to stay in the game.
So, now you have this new analytical tool in your belt. How do you use it effectively? Let's stock up your toolkit by highlighting the most common mistakes people make and, more importantly, how you can sidestep them.
We come right back to the biggest pitfall of them all. It is so tempting to see a big profit number and just stop there. But as we just saw with our two companies, that can give you a completely misleading picture of a business's real financial health.
And the fix is simple. You don't throw away metrics like profit or earnings per share. Instead, you just use free cash flow as a reality check. Think of it as an auditor that comes in and says, "That's a nice profit story you have there, but did you actually generate any cash?"
And definitely be mindful of these other common traps. Always factor in that capital expenditure, the cost to keep the machine running. And remember, you can't compare a software company to an airline. It's like comparing apples and oranges because their cash needs are totally different. And finally, 1 year is just a snapshot. You've got to look for a consistent trend over time.
So here it is, your 5-step checklist. Step 1, find the operating cash flow. 2, subtract the capital spending to get the real leftover cash. 3, look at the trend over time. Is it growing or shrinking? 4, use this as a partner to other metrics, not a replacement. And 5, always compare companies within the same industry. Follow this and you go from being a passive observer to a real analyst.
And that brings us to the final critical question. Knowing a company has leftover cash is a huge step, but it's really only half the story. The real question is, what is management doing with that cash? Are they using it effectively to generate even greater returns for you? Now that is a question of efficiency, and it's the perfect bridge to our next topic, return on equity.